What's on your evil mind? Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Kick Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host for tonight, Roddykat, and you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can also find me at News Nerds Need Reddit. You can also CB Caps on Instagram. And with me tonight, the man, the mellow, the fellow, Brooklyn's finest, one Agent 70.
Happy opening day, everybody.
All right. And you can find him in his baseball sports related tweets. Oh, I'm not going to give up that Twitter account, but you can find him at agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. Check him out for his various musings there. Not with us tonight. You can go check out PC and _dirt. I don't know. He may or may not pop in. I'm not sure. He didn't really say anything. But PC and in _dirt on Twitter. Pop Culture Network on Twitter. popculturenetwork.com. ineedcomics.com. And you know what? All other stuff under popculturenetwork.com. His various sites. And also, you can go check out Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter. Also at The Click Nation on Twitter. That's TheKliqNation. Also at CB Cron on Twitter. TheClickNation.com. And also, of course, Comic Book Resources, CBR.com, where you can go check out his stuff where he's writing his face off. Go give him some clicks and some love, folks. You can find this podcast on The Phrase That Pays. I keep wanting to say that, so I'm just going to hit you out of the way. But the podcast network of note, CSPN.us. Do it today.
Do it today.
Exactly. Along with a bunch of other fine podcasts. But we need love, so show us some. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Google Play and Apple Podcasts, aka Apple iTunes.
5-star reviews.
Indeed. We're not guaranteed to read them, but we will check them out. Which I can probably may go and check that out one day. Also, you can go check us out on Spotify. We're there. As far as I don't know if they have a review system, but hey, hook it up. Also, you can go to this Cold Slither SoundCloud page and get us there. We're there along with the other CSPN properties. So with that, folks, let us get into the comic books of the week. And we said we were going to start off with one of the two event books for the week, and that being Heroes in Crisis number 7.
Right, so we open the story with one of the characters who kind of started out this Heroes in Crisis story on the receiving end of the bad stuff that happens. So it's interesting to see this character. Spoiler alert! I'm gonna ring the bell. It's interesting to see Wally West take center stage in this issue.
You had to think it was going to happen at some point, though, given how much they keep going back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the clues they've been dropping left and right. But, yeah, and we get, I guess, more such clues. We get I guess a weird meeting between Harley, Batgirl, and Booster and Blue Beetle.
Right. Yeah. So these are the 4 characters that have kind of taken.
Oh shoot!
That's unexpected.
I forgot to read that one too. A little behind the scenes messaging, folks.
Right. But with regards to Heroes in Crisis, these are probably the least likely characters, and that's probably what King is going for. These are the least likely characters you would think would be behind solving this particular mystery. So that's the dynamic that we have. It's funny that Batgirl is the adult in the room.
Right. Which, I mean, yeah, given her proximity to the Bat, and that's not surprising, especially with these clowns.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one literal, almost literal.
Almost, right? Almost.
Yeah. So that I will definitely say that was an amusing little exchange between them.
Sure, and it lasts for it lasts for a good chunk of the book.
Yeah, pretty much.
We have some of the senior members of the Justice League, namely Batman and the Flash, Barry Allen, kind of dealing with their own side of the investigation, trying to locate these 4 characters who are, kind of coming to blows as, we're trying to, as they, as well as we are trying to figure out what actually happened.
Right. Blows
at the start of the story.
Right. I was about to say coming to blows, and also attempting to come together to try to solve what's going on, assuming there is anything to solve at this point, because what in the world is going on? But
right. We still don't really know what happened at Sanctuary. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. But I suspect, since there's 2 issues left, and the next one should be the link. Should be the expository issue.
Probably.
We would hope, because wow, that'd be kind of crazy. And I think King might have actually did say, hey, a lot of stuff kind of came. I think we've said this before. There's a lot of stuff you can kind of figure out some of the stuff from issue 1, and I'm like, I don't. If you say so,
we'd have to go back and try it. That's the thing.
Sure. At this point,
like we read, we're obviously, our crew is obviously in the vast minority when it comes to comic book reading per week and per month. So sometimes it's hard to remember exactly what happened 8 issues ago.
Exactly.
So you have to forgive us sometimes. I know that there are listeners who, note that sometimes our sense of time is a little out of whack. And we definitely appreciate that, because we understand that it's hard to remember some of these things. But when it comes to something like this, it might do us well to maybe go back and read the first 6 issues before we come up to the last 2, because as you said, I think King is getting ready to drop a whole lot of information. It's gonna be an info dump.
Man, I hope so. Yeah, because it is due.
Yeah.
And not to say this is, I mean, I know this has been running kind of cold for some people, especially some people on the panel, which I can kind of see that, but as we tend to say, it's like, hey, you got to see, well, if you have enough interest, you got to see where it's, if it's going to get somewhere, or where it's going to get to, if it shows itself. And at this point, it's showing something, we just don't know what just yet. So I guess if we have wrung that one out.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, when it comes to these testimonials, or are these kind of professions from the heroes and villains that come to Sanctuary for help, the only one that we get in this issue is from Wally West. So, I wonder if that's a good or bad omen. So we'll see.
Right. So, so next up, we are going to go into Avengers No Road Home, number 7, actually. It is kind of funny, because Heroes in Crisis is coming out monthly. if I'm not mistaken. And granted, Avengers No Road Home is
it's a weekly, it's a weekly book.
But they both it caught up, and still we'll finish up before Doomsday Crisis. I mean Doomsday Clock.
Let's not even. Yeah, I was about to say. I hope you brought that up because I know
we'll talk about that.
I made jokes about that amongst the panel. Well, if not yesterday, early today. So, but yeah. So Avengers No Road Home. We are almost in the home stretch because this is a 10-issue series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're at.
Is it 10 or 9?
I think it's 10 because I don't think it's 12. That's what I was going to say. I think it's
definitely not 12.
Right. I think it's a 10-issue series. So, I mean, I can see if I can confirm that. But in any event, we sort of pick up right where we left off in the last issue, with everyone kind of coming together to face off with Nyx. The Scarlet Witch has sort of found her way back with Conan to where everyone is fighting Nyx. Well, the rest of the team is fighting Nyx.
It is up 10.
I'm sorry?
It is 10 issues.
Right. So, yeah, because I know I read it recently just to check on how many were in this series. Right. But back to the story. So the Scarlet Witch, Conan, and some bystanders actually apparently make their way back to where the rest of the Avengers are fighting Nyx.
Actually, wait. I thought it was the other way around though. Because if you remember the end of the last issue, they were still where they were. Nyx came to them because she got her hands on because Scarlet Witch got her hands on the crystal.
See, now I should go back and read the last issue because I could have sworn they were transported, but at the end of the day,
got transported. Let's put it that way.
Right, they all come together because now I see the clue is on the first page. I see it now that she came to them in Shadazar on Samaria, so that makes more sense. Okay, but bottom line is that group of Avengers meets up with Scarlet Witch and Conan, and finally, after a few issues of not seeing her around, we finally see Spectrum.
Yes, and she
come to the fore.
Yes, and she shows why she was a pretty good leader.
Well, she's a little rusty, and she acknowledges. That's pretty cool. So she acknowledges that she's a little rusty when it comes to being in command of even this kind of ragtag group of Avengers. Right. I like that she kind of pulled a fast one on the Olympian goddess of night, which you wouldn't think would be possible, but she actually pulls it off, and the goddess of night actually does a number on her own kids.
Right.
Unbeknownst to us, because we were teased and thinking that what happened actually happened.
Right, exactly, and my thought was on this was like, wait, when did this happen? Like, when did this whole switcheroo happen? But it doesn't really matter.
Speed of light.
Yeah, I know, right?
Speed of light. There's a lot, that these speedster type characters can do, and a lot of tricks that obviously she's got similar speed powers, at least in terms of sheer speed. We're talking Flash type stuff, but we're also dealing with energy stuff, which is a different aspect of speed. So I think it's funny that they snuck in an entire issue kind of featuring Spectrum, coming to the front.
Miss Spectrum, if you're nasty.
Oh, I like that too. That was a nice reference there. You have to be of a certain vintage to get that one.
Right. Actually, yeah, two of them, because another thing about it, I want to say that is, I dare say that Al Ewing has used that before also, back in the Mighty Avengers, when Sam was still Cap, back then, around that time.
Okay.
But I would have to go back and check that out. But regardless, that is definitely a reference. That is, it's for its vintage. But But yeah, I enjoyed this issue for all the Monica Rambeau stuff. And actually, there was, you speak of her powers. So historically, we've usually have seen her, change into light or some version of radiation at times, lightning at various times, to very great effect. But as you say, the tricks with the light is a relatively new well, it's not even a relatively new thing because she actually has done that, but to the extent that she's done in this issue. But rarely have we seen her being able to touch people while she's in light form or something like that, which she has done a couple times in this feed. So she's, basically she can go solid.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say is I think what you're referring to is an evolution in her power set that we may have seen over a long period of time. It wasn't something I think that happened in any one issue. I think it happened over time.
Well, even
we haven't seen, and we also haven't seen her in that many comics. So,
well, not lately. Yes, that's true. Well, I mean, she was in.
When they transformed her in, not Mighty Avengers. What was it? Ultimates.
Ultimates, yeah.
Right. When that's kind of the last time that we saw her playing a major role in the Avengers books. And
as a matter of fact, that's when we also find out that she, as this is here, she may be not human anymore, and that's when we find out about her
evolution. Right.
Yes. So.
Right.
And this is kind of going off on that, which how Ewing wrote, so it makes sense.
Right. So with that, with that all said, we'll see where we are at the end of this, because it looks like
we're rounding the bend.
Right. What I was going to mention though is that I felt like we missed out on the whole Grey Hulk thing. Wasn't that the last issue?
That was, yes.
Right. So my notes reminded me to mention, what happened to the Grey Hulk from last issue? Wondering if that was all in a dream sequence. And they were fighting in Nightmare's realm, so obviously that's all, kind of in dream world too. But at the end of the day, I think that's where the Avengers were sent physically. So
right. And the last one bear out the fact that we will at the very least see that team again next issue. So
they're probably going to be featured in the next issue because
exactly
they're going to be front and center, and
probably joining the fight, or the fight's coming to them, one or two. Because so there was a part where spoiler alerts, Nyx finds out where the last piece of her soul crystal, wherever thing is, and I'm sitting here like that looked like Wanda's old house, Wanda and Vision's old house.
From their limited series,
yeah, kind of what it looked like. I'm like, wait, what? They're going there? But I don't know if that's the case, because she saw her, see an image of a house.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, if that is the case, that would kind of make sense, because Vision is in here and he's kind of having his issues, and Wanda's in here, and there's not necessarily, there was implications of there's some still, something between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, hey, just touch your ex, and you just, if you're on good terms, there's always going to be something. But regardless, that may be something for next issue, and that it is speculative at this point. But at the same time, I suspect, the next issue is going to be next to Team Hulk, and wherever they are, or wherever they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to line up where everybody's going to end up. And it just so conveniently happened, which again, we were starting to round the bend, that, hey, the bad guy didn't have any use for the person that was taking them around. So, hey, let's clean that up also. All right, well, we need that plot device to go forward in the next issue. So there you go. So yeah, like I said, it's at least it's been going fast, and it's been weekly. That's part of the good thing about it, and at least, I would suspect, I don't know, you think if this was monthly, it was still gonna hold?
I think so. I think though that what the story benefits from is that they had most, if not all, of these issues in the can. so they can get it out on a timely basis. I don't think they've missed a single week, and we're, like you said, we're in the home stretch. We've only got 3 issues left,
right?
So this will be done before the end of April, and leading into Free Comic Book Day and Endgame and all the kind of relaunches that are going to happen in late April, early May.
Yeah. So I think we're good on that front with that book. And we can move it along. Like I said, I'm sure we will have more to say about it next. Well, wait. Well, guess we'll talk about that later on.
Exactly. We got to figure out. There's a bunch of possible instances of movie protocols being invoked. So we're going to see how that's going to work over the next few weeks.
Yes. Wait, a few? I only know of 2. Well,
a number of weeks. There's going to be a number of things going on. So, the way it works is, since we're a weekly show, if we miss one, and then, we'll see.
Sure. Yeah, but like that, we'll talk about that later. Next book, you want to throw one out?
Sure. Let me take a look at your list of books. You want to talk about Doctor Strange?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Doctor Strange number 12. The first thing I thought of, because
perfect going into the next book we could talk about, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is the first thing I thought of is that Galactus is in a lot of places right now.
Right. I said that. As a matter of fact, in my notes, I pretty much said something similar.
Right. It's kind of funny that that Wade and obviously Dan Slott, and that's no spoiler because that's the they're still in the middle of a multi-issue arc involving Galactus in the pages of the Fantastic Four.
But we will talk about next.
Right. In this issue, we're coming straight off of Doctor Strange dealing with the magical accountant,
yes,
who was looking to collect on some past due magic tax, and kind of the magic revenue service.
Nice.
And at the end of the last issue, things have been kind of reset, and we find Doctor Strange reminiscing, contemplating, doing a little bit of self-assessment
of all the girls he's loved before.
That's definitely true, and all of the teams that he's been a part of as well. We get a little bit of reference and getting people caught up to speed. It's just kind of strange in an issue number 12, but then this is sort of the beginning of a new story arc coming off of that big issue number 400, aka number 11. And we kind of get this plot device that literally drops out of the sky into the Sanctum Sanctorum. And I like that Wade is expanding upon this theme that he started this run with, which is alien magic. Magic not necessarily from other dimensions, because that's always been a big thing with
but just not Earth. Yeah.
Right, but and it's obviously just a different aspect of other, right? Whereas more often than not, Doctor Strange in previous runs of the title would step into a scrying pool that he created and move into another dimension, whereas this is literally on the other side. He's dealing with aliens from the other side of the galaxy who know of him. He's technically the Sorcerer Supreme of this dimension, so you would think they would recognize him. But ultimately, it still fits into the story that Wade is telling about magic from other worlds as opposed to other dimensions. And there's a familiar story of Galactus and what he does and what his herald does, which is apparently get beat.
Yeah, no, right. It's like, wow, are we heading towards another defender or half defenders match team up again?
I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility because of how this issue plays out. So yeah, like I said, bottom line is, we have this, story that leads with a kind of familiar story of what happens when Galactus comes a knocking.
Mm-hmm. And now he's going to be coming and knocking, thanks to the antagonist here is going to be knocking in a new realm for a minute.
Right. So what's funny about this is that we get to see not an evil magic user, but someone who's desperate. And we have someone who is looking to take everything they can muster in order to take on Galactus. And what's incredible is that what he does is what Strange did to the Hulk way back when in Hulk number 300.
Right.
But we're not talking about the Hulk here. We're talking about Galactus. So I'm sort of spoiling it, but only if you read Hulk number 300 many moons ago.
Right. And I was about to say, and it's probably similar to a way they've tried to get rid of Galactus in the past in one way, shape, or form. So, there is definitely familiar beats in that one. Like I said, what we're going to talk about next is a different take on that. But
sure.
With this, I kind of thought about this for a second, because it was like that first part where he's talking about all his loves and lives, and it was like, is he having a midlife crisis? Because it's probably about that time for him, I guess. And then he's like, well, I need a new challenge, and poop, this stuff ends up happening. But I thought about it for a second. I was like, you know what he was talking about, and this is maybe an idea I probably years ago would have thought about if this had come up. It's like, Steven's talking about all of the girls he's loved and lost, and I'm thinking of like, one of we could have a there could be a story with him and Black Panther, because Black Panther's also kind of had a gambit of loves and losts. They could be sitting at the table talking about it and then get into this grand adventure or something. But I'm granted, a couple of things.
I was about to say, all of the Marvel main hero characters can do this.
I mean, you understand it that way, yeah. But yeah, I was just kind of thinking of this one for whatever other reason.
I'm just saying, like,
but you're not wrong.
It's a common theme.
Or at least so a few. I mean, it's not to this extent, because both of them is like they've gone through a lot of people,
right? So
that's neither here nor there. So But yeah, it's this whole Doctor Strange thing. And we're probably going to talk about it next. And matter of fact, right now, the events of what's going on currently in Fantastic Four. But I'm assuming the stuff is either before that or after that.
Right. It's got to be before or after. It's obviously not happening concurrently.
Right.
I really got a kick out of this issue because it was, kind of a old and new Doctor Strange.
Right.
Because Wade doesn't waste any time with throwing Strange into the mode that he's in now, which is, well, I can't, I don't have all this magic stuff. I got to do something else.
Which, thank you for bringing that up, because I was about to mention that part, because it's like, wait, it's like, is this going to be a whole thing with this volume? It's like he gains magic, then loses again, gains it and loses a little bit again, because it's like, even when the other dude was going through the sanctum, gathering stuff, is like, well, this stuff is no good anymore, so now I got to rely on my newfound stuff, and I'm like, okay, you're just gonna keep. Is this gonna be a thing that's gonna keep happening? And even in that the first meeting with him, I was like, wait, he underestimates the dude, and he just got out of a fight with a dude that with a being that could take away his powers.
Right.
You would think he would have known not to underestimate it. Now, granted, he didn't know that this person could do that same thing, but still, you would think he would know not to underestimate. This is after that underestimate that he goes up against.
Well, what I was going to say is that's always been kind of Doctor Strange's weakness. He's a little bit of a pompous prick. So,
yeah,
anyone who's writing his stories takes that into account.
Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow, this is just like. But then again, yeah, you're right, because it is a thing that keeps coming up with him. So, but anyway, moving right along to the aforementioned Fantastic Four number 8, where we see Galactus in a mountain. specifically in Latveria, and Doom grandstanding in front of the whole world.
Well, what's awesome about this is that it's something that Doom has done before,
Exactly.
but not on the Galactus scale. Not on the Galactus scale. He's done it with Surfer. You know, where he usurped. Well, spoiler alert. Mild spoiler alert, because if you've been keeping up, you understand where we are. So there's an old story where Dr. Doom steals the Silver Surfer's powers and steals the power cosmic.
Yes.
So now this is the next step up, but in
probably he's gone past this step before though, because if you think about it, Secret Wars, or the Beyonder, because he stole the Beyonder's power, and
right?
Thing with the with Secret War, the last Secret Wars, I should say, not previous ones, but the last one where he gained, near infinite power.
Oh, no, I was focused specifically on Galactus.
I know, but this is not his first run in with one, getting the power cosmic, or two, any kind of greater power is what I'm saying.
Sure. So it's kind of funny in that Slott relates this to real world problems. Like, hey, we don't have enough energy. We can't produce energy in a clean way. What can we do? Let's imprison Galactus and take away his power cosmic.
Right.
Pipeline.
Right. So let's couch this in my need to do into this and that and the other, and grandstand, and for some would argue, good means, I guess. I don't know. Because it's not like he's going full evil or back to full evil. He's like, hey, guess what, world? I got this.
Right. Right. And obviously, this is part of a bigger plan on Doom's part, because he created Victorious, who drew in Galactus, and she was the bait, and this was the trap that he had laid out for Galactus. I really like some of the designs that the art team on this, Aaron Cooter, Stefano Caselli, David Marquez, and Riley Brown did on this issue. I really liked how they a couple of things were portrayed specifically. One is the fur cape that Doom is rocking now.
I know, right? I'm like, why?
That's pretty cool. With like the single disc, I like that it's like it's subtly different. One of the traps one of the prisons that he's laid out for the FF, specifically for Reed Richards, is pretty cool. I like that concept.
Yeah, literally pretty cool. Yeah, that whole trap. So now, granted, this is not the first time Doom has trapped the FF and had him in some elaborate thing. This one seems, although I'm sure at some point this one's, as I said in my notes, seems kind of familiar. Trap them basically using them against each other in a way,
right?
Or at least to keep the ones at whole, and that ends up being the thing that doesn't work as well as he thought it did. Again,
I mean, I got a real kick out of this. He's walking around, he's monologuing, which is awesome, because he's Doom. He can't help it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatchamacallit? I like that I like some of the observations that Slott puts in about how he can never keep Ben Grimm down.
Right. Yeah.
And he's not, he's constantly underestimating him.
Right. And actually, yeah, and not, definitely him and definitely one other member of the team, but he's,
sure,
he's also grossly underestimates him to his detriment this issue and in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was going to just thinking, well, at some point, he captured him, so therefore it wasn't going to last that long, and the team was going to escape. And at some point, I figured, well, it's going to be probably some reason because of Victorious. Mm-hmm. And then there was that one page where you almost thought that something
might do something, right?
Yeah, but it apparently didn't. But hey, the arc is still young, and some still could end up happening with that. But
I think the story arc finishes in the next issue.
Right. So regardless of whether something of that will happen with that, it's still FF, and they're things are still seemingly in hand, or at least starting to look like it's in hand, including the ending of this book, which we won't spoil, but it's quite amusing. We see a character bearing it all, being laid bare in front of the whole world.
Sure.
And which is basically a new twist on the situation at hand. And also pictures, like, because even when when Victoria's kind of points it out, it's like she's like, oh.
yeah. She can see what's happening as the cameras are rolling. So it's a well told story.
Yeah.
So I appreciate this issue. This is a potential click of the week for me.
Yeah, same here. I didn't put it, but same here. So that being the case, we can move on. And well, this is kind of going away from it. But we can go to either one person around to another one, or you got something you want to throw out.
Well, we could talk about Amazing Spidey. Okay. We have a couple books still left, and then we can start going back and forth. We have Amazing Spidey number 18. I don't have too much to say about this because it's basically a direct continuation of the last issue. We understand now how Arcade's techniques meld with Craven's scheme.
Yes.
Without spoiling too much of the story, what we have is a very video game-like experience.
I was going to say
avatars and everything.
Right. As I say in my notes, Spidey realizes the plan. His life's like a deadly video game with just one man. And some of you hip hop folks might know the reference, but that's okay.
There you go. So that being said, it even brings up a lot of the more modern video game issues, in terms of spending money to ramp up your character. That's not something that those of us who grew up playing video games knew about, because you played the game once, and you just you played through a game and you leveled up. Nowadays you can drop money to level up right away.
Arcade basically found a bunch of whales.
Pretty much.
So I found that part kind of amusing too. I also thought it was like, you know what, I would actually want to see a game of kind of like this. Although I'm pretty sure there was something. There's probably actually not a thing, but there is. Anthem's kind of like this, and so, except for you're not hunting things. But anyway, yeah, I found that part kind of amusing. I was like, yeah, well done. Well, that was Spencer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, that was well done. And yeah, so we there was even you're probably wondering how I got here line that Peter says in the beginning. I was like, okay, that hadn't been done in a while, but well played. On the first page, he does the before we find out what's going on. So yeah, like I said, outside of that, we get the plan. We see something's going on with all of that, and apparently this is going to lead into the HU that one of the characters that's in this is going to have a bigger part in, or one of the villains specifically. Which I'm like, wow, they really pulled out some folks and actually got rid of some apparently a couple of folks in this.
Right, assuming that what we see is actually the finality,
Right.
But yeah, we're talking about bladed weapons being used up close, so that's
it's
never a good sign.
It's possible that there's some. Granted, let's face it, a lot of these villains that are in this that are being hunted, not that big of a deal.
Right. What I was going to add is Mary Jane actually is in danger.
Yes.
That's a tease from the last issue, and that's not really spoiling anything. So,
am I missing who that person is, or So because we definitely find out with that
character's not revealed yet.
Okay,
it's been someone who's been in the background in Amazing since Spencer started.
Right. Okay. And see, I've only gotten onto the book in the last few issues.
Right. So we're like what 18 issues in. This has been going bi-weekly, I think. So
right.
You know, it wouldn't be too hard for you to catch up.
Yeah, I can go back on that because I was like, wait, and I thought about it because like when I saw this person, like, clearly this was somebody that kind of came up before now, and it wasn't somebody that I thought it was, which it would have been like, well, why is he even here? But regardless, yeah, there'll be more on that next issue.
Yep, absolutely.
So we can move on to the I'm assuming the last book that we have in common. I think that's right.
Black Panther.
That is the one. Yep. That looks to be the last one we have in common. So Black Panther number 10. We're still in space, folks. We ain't going nowhere yet.
In space.
Which is fine. Like I said, enjoy the ride. That's where we're at right now. And I guess there's really not that terribly much to say about it outside of the fact that there's a big fight. Manifest is in the fold. Manifold, excuse me.
Manifold, yeah, I was about to say.
I'm thinking of a record shop here in my town. Shout out to Manifest Records, which went out of business. So yeah, and we're looking to see that this looks like a turning point in this rebellion.
I was gonna add, doesn't it look like one of these characters is from one of the properties that Disney just bought from Fox? I was like, oh my gosh, they're already doing a crossover.
I mean, you know, hey, you gotta make it do what it do, you know, especially with the art. But yes, yeah.
You know, like I said, it's the art that makes you think, wait a second, is this nah?
Yeah, I'm like, you know, I mean, there's liberties. Speaking of, yes, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to something later on that I'll talk about. But yeah, speaking of something on all that lines. So yeah, like I said, we get a turning point. Apparently there was a double cross or something, or another layer that comes out in this issue, and yeah, I mean that's vaguely it.
Yeah, this is a long form story. Yeah. And you got to give Coates a lot of credit. What I've been critical of myself in not doing is reading some of the notes that come at the end of the issue.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that if I go back and reread this story, we're 10 issues in, and if I read both the main stories in the issues plus the notes, I think it's going to make a lot more difference. It's going to make a big difference in how things will make more sense. That is,
I would say so. Yeah, because there's definitely some stuff in there that's like, oh yeah, okay.
So I with a little bit of time, you know, maybe on one of these like off weeks or something, maybe I'll sit down and try to reread Black Panther and see exactly how this all fits together.
But ultimately, like I said, it was a pretty, you know, action-packed issue. Definitely.
It's just tough right now to see how everything is related. That's kind of the toughest aspect of the story arc.
I'm resigned to say that it's probably not, and it's just a story you wanted to tell. It's out in space, and
that's not what I mean in terms of how, you know, you get the big picture. You know, rebellion versus empire.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right. But in terms of how these characters all kind of fit into, you know, what people have to remember is that these characters in the space story are using the same character names as the ones that we're familiar with.
Right.
And we have,
that's that part from way in the beginning of this that still hasn't borne out. But
exactly. That's what I'm saying. 10 issues later, it still hasn't borne out. So that part is confusing to anyone who's picking this up for the first time. So,
although us having read other books that have kind of mentioned what's going on in this book, and on the side of it, you already have the idea of where it's going to get to.
Possibly. Possibly, because what we know is that there's really only one character who's away in space. So this may just be happening in his mind. So,
because he didn't go alone.
Who was in the ship?
Manifold.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well,
which is why, yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, we'll see how this all plays out. But so those are the two characters that are technically missing.
Right.
Even though we see one of them in Avengers all the time.
Well, yeah, and again, timey-wimey things in the Marvel in comic book universes. So,
right. Continuity.
Yeah.
We can always fix continuity.
I mean, it's like, yeah, we'll at the end of this, I'm sure at the end of this arc or at the end of the story, it's like, yeah, this takes place during, and it's probably that part of one even actually happened because, like this takes place before all of that or after all of that. And,
All right, so if you're ready, you want to go into rapid fire?
I think we can do that.
Spin it up. All righty.
You want to go ahead and go?
Sure, I will. So, start off at the top with the big anniversary issue that dropped this week, Detective Comics number 1000. So if you're familiar with these number 1000 issues that DC's put out over the last couple of years, they're not just one story. They're usually a bunch of smaller vignette type stories to celebrate the character and milk $10 out of you. So there's a couple of good stories in an otherwise just okay, giant-sized and expensive 1000th issue. So I definitely suggest you flip through this before committing yourself to buying a $10 comic. Flash number 67. It's a pretty interesting story. It's entertaining. It's straight out of the Twilight Zone, where there's a creepy scenario in Central City where everyone is happy and there's no crime. It's a setup for a trickster story, which hopefully will pay off. We talked about Heroes in Crisis. We talked about Amazing, Avengers No Road Home, Black Panther, Daredevil number 3. This is a potential click of the week as well. I had a lot of fun reading books this week. Chip Zdarsky brings us right into Daredevil's thoughts during this crazy time, and a sort of predictable character lends DD a hand out of the mess he's found himself in at the end of last issue. Mild spoiler alert. Daredevil's being hunted by the New York City Police Department for a crime he didn't commit. So he has to find the A-Team. No, I'm kidding. But if you think about it, that's sort of what happens at the end of this issue. It's not a surprising guest star. So we'll see what happens in the next issue. Next up, Hulkverines number 2. I love saying that title. You can tell Greg Pak is having a ton of fun writing this book. It's only 3 issues, which is awesome. It's not drawn out. At the end of the day, it's gotten straight to the point. It's put the 3 characters in this, Wolverine, the Hulk, and Weapon H, on a collision course. And now we're getting to the part where they fought, and now we may be getting to the point where, mild spoiler alert, I'm not going to ring the bell. You know how these stories work. We may be getting to the point where they're teaming up to fight a common enemy in the finale of this miniseries. So if you're just looking for fun and entertainment, not necessarily the deepest storytelling, pick up Hulkverines. It's fun. You could tell Pak is having a ton of fun writing it. Invaders number 3. This is my last book to talk about this week, and it's another potential click of the week. There's great work here by Chip Zdarsky and Carlos Magno. We have more information as to what Namor's grand scheme is in his fight against the surface world. My only nitpick is with Carlos Magno's art, in that he draws too many detail lines on faces when he's trying to create the sense of definition and depth. Those extra lines work in black and white art, but in color art, especially in computer colored art nowadays, he should allow the color artist some room to create depth with coloring and shade. Otherwise, characters look old when they're not supposed to be old. There's an old character in this issue that looks appropriately old and maybe even overly wrinkled, which is funny. But at least that character is supposed to be old. Some of the other characters really look older than what they should look like because of this over rendering. So that's really the tiniest nitpick in an otherwise nice looking issue. And this is a great series going on right now. Don't sleep on Invaders right now, because this is well done stuff. And that's it for me.
Alrighty. And for myself, we go with Dial H for Hero, #1. And all I'm going to say is in my notes, I say, never let there ever let there be a place or a food truck that's surrounding whose food revolves around mayonnaise. That's just, don't do it. But basically, I'm not too terribly familiar with the previous iterations of Dial H for Hero, but apparently some of the same beats are in there. There's a dude in a town, helping out his uncle, who seems like a jerk. He ends up going on a trip with this other girl who's trying to get out of town by stealing said truck. And this boy who was apparently saved by Superman once before, was trying to, which I guess it almost seems like that's the thing with the Wonder Comics books, except for Young Justice, although there is a sequel before, so you could kind of say that, because in Wonder Twins is like, so hey, Superman is the one showing them around, or whatever the case may be. And in this book, Superman saved him when he was a little kid, and now he's trying to get that feeling of, that rush again, basically, but can never find it. But when he's stuck in this little behind town doing grunt work until, whatever happens at the end of this issue, and the telephone comes, and H gets dialed, and he turns into this hero called Monster Truck. And I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, that's that. Ironheart, #4. Riri and her mom have a nice little moment before the mom leaves, and Midnight Fire just so happens to stroll in and starts monologuing. Speaking of monologuing, Doom style, kind of in the way. So we get a little bit more about. So he couches it like, "Hey, you can't find out. You want to know about the 10 rings, but you can't find out about the 10 rings without me telling you about my origin." And he goes through his origin, and there was not a whole lot about the 10 rings, although it does get interspersed there. And he offers Riri something, to which she rebukes, and yeah, it doesn't go that well, but it leaves the end of the issue the way it is. But it was a good issue though. Transformers #2. So after the events of last issue, we found out there is a murder, an accident. This is what they're calling it. Something happened to a character, a Transformer. And again, this is, I think, set before this seems to be set in the past, aka there are Autobots but no Decepticons, but there are Decepticon characters around. So I assume this is going to be what sparks off the Great War between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and I guess the naming and the coming of the Decepticons, I guess, will come out of this at some point. Not entirely sure about that. But regardless, I mentioned that because the murder is of a Transformer that is basically known to be a Gen 2 character, I believe. So I'm like, how is that the case if this is that? But thinking a little bit too much about it, and it is a Transformer, he probably could be rebuilt. Regardless, this accident, while getting talked about during the course of this issue, kind of gets swept to the side because Bumblebee's mentoring this young Transformer who I still think is going to become a Decepticon at some point. It's kind of, mentors him around and kind of shows him, introduces him to Wheeljack, and they, he goes help him out because basically Bumblebee's trying to help this kid find his place or find out what he wants to do with his life, basically. So he's kind of been taking him around, and he was supposed to take him to this other character that got killed, but that's, ended up being a murder scene. And a particularly amusing part with Prowl. But that's none of that. And then we get the first mentions of the Rise, which I'm not sure is, again, I was behind on a lot of the old stuff, so I don't know if this is something that came out then, but we get the mention of a group that sounds more Decepticons than what we know to be Decepticons. So I imagine the two of those, the group that we know that we will become the Decepticons, and this group may end up merging. We don't know. Because, again, this is the first mention, and including the teachings of, that may become that. So, and there is an attempt on Megatron's life because at this point he is a senator type, and he's speaking at this rally, and of course gets attacked. I'm thinking it's staged. He might not be. And Megatron's like, hey, I'm gonna find out who did this. So of course that's going to spark some things going forward, and not sparks that the Transformers carry around with them. GoBots number 5. So this is the end of this book. It was a 5-issue miniseries, and boy, does it go out with some very familiar references. Speaking of the aforementioned Transformers book, I will say that much. This book was weird as hell. It was, seriously, because, and without going, I think I may have gone through with a little bit of it when it first started. There may have been a time travel. There was a kind of a time travel element going on. Earth was basically encapsulated by Gobatron. But it was also couched in the beginning that, hey, GoBots were made by humans. And it seems like there was a Planet of the Apes situation that happened in that the GoBots took over. And, it was, like I said, there was a whole bunch of weirdness in this. And, of course, a little bit of, there were some things that apparently that were some secrets that came out during the course of this.
I was flipping through it.
You said you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that was blatant. Yeah, I had a real kick out of that. I was like, and it was just, I was like, okay, they got away with it. And obviously, so IDW also publishes Transformers, so you take that for what it is. But nevertheless, it as I say in my notes, this seems like it's written by a person who really wanted to write for Transformers, but his ideas were kind of out there. So I will give you this, and he still ends up referencing Transformers in the most blatant way in this issue. A couple of different blatant ways in this issue.
Right. I mean, I've only flipped through a couple of these, and I know you've mentioned this to me. This is very much reminiscent of Ed Piskor style.
Yes, dark
down to the lettering.
Yes, and as I have said before, so I know Dirt and I were the same writer and artist, or the writer artist slash did a Transformers / G.I. Joe miniseries a while back, and the art has come a little bit of a wave since then because it was a lot rougher than this, but it was still in the same, but it was still in a similar style. So that part has got a little bit better. Nevertheless, this
is all him, Tom Scioli.
Yes,
Tom Scioli. It's story art letters. He did the whole. It's very much like Ed Piskor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Holy cow!
Why I mentioned that? Yeah. And like I said, and he also did the same with Transformers G.I. Joe, but again, the art way rougher than this one, to which neither one of us could get through it. So yeah, but nevertheless, like I said, so now that it's over, if you are inclined to pick this up and trade, I don't know if it's going to make any more sense. But it's it was a weird ride. That's all I can say. That's
All right.
crazy. And I believe that is it for me. Yes.
Cool. All right. So I guess we're coming up on clicks of the week.
It is. And so we have one click from one Tim Dog, who, and I meant to read this book actually because I was kind of curious about something that I know was going to happen in this one. X-Force number 5 was his pick.
Yeah, I fell off this book a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was it's like I said last time we brought up issue 4. I'm like, it's definitely an action pack. Like Brisson's is kind of a more action focused writer. It's clear to me, and it definitely shows in this book. So, and not having read this issue, I'm pretty sure it is more than that. And it sounds like we get, according to what Tim says, we get Kid Cable's origin. So, which is why he was, why he said that was his pick.
Okay.
And I don't think we got anything from Dirt. No, we didn't.
No. So I think that rotates back to us, and we have to make our decisions. I've got a bit of a tough choice to make because I've got a few candidates here.
I've got a couple. And I'm thinking I'm going to actually go with Avengers No Road Home. Shout out to Monica Rambeau. Spectrum. It's time she got a little bit more shine than she has in recent history.
Oh yeah, I was about to say in the wake of the canceling of the Ultimate book.
Yeah, I have also said no. I forgot to mention it in my notes. I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing a book of just her, but I don't know how that would work out. I mean, I think there could probably be some good stuff, But
I think what I was going to say is I think that she deserves it. I think that she could, especially with, I hate to say this, especially with the exposure that the character's name has gotten based off of the Captain Marvel movie. I think that helps. But as you can tell, I'm just stalling because I'm trying to figure out what my click of the week is. Listen, I've got a couple of good candidates. Daredevil, Doctor Strange, FF this week, all really good. Invaders was really good too.
Yeah. I almost tempted to give it up to GoBots, but I was like, it was good, not in the way that it was actually good, but good because it was just weird and crazy.
Because it was weird.
Yeah, and the references that I mentioned, which wow. But yeah, anyway, let's
Yep. Still stalling.
Some time here.
Still stalling. You know what? I'm gonna go again with Daredevil number 3. It's funny. I picked Daredevil number 2 as a click of the week when it came out. So Daredevil number 3 was a great follow up to that. So good work by Zdarsky et al.
All right. Well, then that being the case, how about hit us up with an ad?
Our first ad of the night is for Funko. Fun at first sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel, including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise, custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. That's Funko through cspn.us. Do it today.
Oh, boo. All right. So now
Funko, he's not booing you.
No, he's not. No. No, definitely not.
We wouldn't want to boo our sponsors here.
Well, no, not even sure. I got way too many Funko products just to be doing that in the first place. But now I was bullying something I was doing on my end. Anyway, let us get into the cinematic news. And we start off with a movie that probably shouldn't be made, but nevertheless, it seemed like it might be in going forward. In that, Masters of the Universe movie may have found its He-Man.
Okay.
That is the appropriate response. Yeah, so apparently, according to this article, To All the Boys I've Loved Before star Noah Centineo.
Centineo?
Sure. Is reportedly in talks with the studio to take on a role of He-Man. We don't know. It's just it's a rumor at this point.
I was about to say furious Google search ensues. See what this dude looks like.
Yeah, I know, right? Which is weird because I think I just saw his name on Twitter for something else.
Okay.
Like a few minutes ago, so I don't know.
I was about to say this dude's gonna need to hit the weight room.
I mean, and hey, it's happened.
Yep.
And they're doing wonderful things with CG nowadays. So, as we have also seen. So, yeah. We'll see. Next up,
Taika Waititi is set to voice bounty hunter IG-88 in The Mandalorian on the Disney Plus app. So that's good news for fans of his voiceover work from Korg in Thor Ragnarok.
It's always a new Doug.
Yeah,
and I imagine there's going to be he's playing a droid, so there's probably going to be some voice effect on him. Add some low level voice effect on him.
Sure.
So Korg will not be back in the building for this round. But regardless, hey, I'm curious to see what this show is going to end up being. I wonder if there's going to be any Rebels references. And granted, this is probably going to be set like well before or after. Well, actually, probably.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know when this is going to be set.
We don't know. So
some of them showed up during. I don't know. This could be Clone Wars era. We don't know what the heck. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. So I think we just have to wait for a little bit more information. Remember, IG-88 was one of the bounty hunters in Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So he has. So we're definitely talking about that time period being in play. Like the rise of the Empire.
Yeah, but I mean, some of these, a lot of these bounty hunters have been around since Clone Wars. So
right,
and it's only a 20 or some almost to difference. So, and he's a droid. So
right.
Regardless, yeah, we'll have to see. Well, where this is taking place. Next up, Inhumans actor Mike Moe is down to play Marvel's Shang-Chi.
There's a funny reason why this came up.
Okay, shoot.
Well, you know why, right? Because he's featured in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, he's playing Bruce Lee?
Yes, that's why.
Oh,
that's exactly why this came up on social media, where everyone is saying, "Wow, that guy really should be cast as Shang-Chi."
Oh, okay. See, yeah, I'd seen some of that stuff, and I'm like, not too big on Tarantino movies at this point, but nevertheless, I saw some of that stuff, and I saw that, and I was like, okay, I didn't know it was this dude. So, all right,
yeah, he could totally pull that off.
Well, that's what's up. Get off the ground. Let it happen.
And considering that he was playing Triton, the fish guy in the Inhumans, that we can forgive him for that and recast him as Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah, it did say he's Inhumans actor. I'm like, okay, sure. Sure. It's nice to see those Inhuman, some of those folks getting I would say better work, but getting more work. Like Anson Mount was in Discovery, of course. You know, this dude. I don't know what some of the rest of them are, so that's good. Anyway, next up.
This is CNET and
no.
This is mine, right? Thor welcomes Deadpool to the Marvel family.
Yes. So, folks, before we get into that, I'm just going to bring up this nice little feature in Chrome. If you right-click on the tab, there is a mute tab button. You might not be able to see it on the video if you are watching the video, but nevertheless, it's a tip. Right-click, mute site. It might not stop the video, but it will definitely stop the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, on to the news.
Right. So Chris Hemsworth reached out on social media to Deadpool actor Ryan Reynolds to make him feel like he's part of the Marvel Disney tribe with with an Instagram post.
Video if you're watching the video
of a crossover, right? Of a crossover between Deadpool and Thor. Basically, their love child. That's Hemsworth's joke.
Slightly surprised that actually hasn't happened in the comics.
That's funny.
Or has it? I got the feeling that it probably has, and somebody will correct us.
Well, ultimately, we've seen Spidey in Deadpool. We've seen Black Panther in Deadpool. So maybe
Here we go again.
I was about to say that was the autoplay on my end. Just as I was trying to click off, I think I hit the volume button by accident.
Damn you, autoplay.
Exactly. Who knows? Maybe this will be the next one we get.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is like, I'm surprised there wasn't a book with a Deadpool Thor in it before.
Oh, that's what I mean. We'll actually get like a crossover book.
Right. Oh no,
there has been a Deadpool Thor.
Yeah, like him as Thor or something. But regardless, yeah, it's, I don't know. I wouldn't read that book, so it doesn't really matter. Next up. See there you go. Still auto playing, but it didn't say anything.
You know what I was gonna add real quick?
Oh sure, go ahead.
When you have a chance to Google this Mike Moe actor, he's actually played, I guess, Ryu in a Street Fighter movie, in a more recent Street Fighter movie, not the Jean-Claude Van Damme one.
Wait, not the Chun-Li one.
No.
Oh wait, is he? Oh wait. Okay, I think I know.
This dude can definitely pull off Shang-Chi.
Right. Well, yes. If he's done that, then yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And I was about to say, and it looks like he can bulk up a little too. So not that Shang-Chi is bulky, but he could definitely bulk up from, like kind of like the regular build that he might be rocking to like a slightly amplified Bruce Lee.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm doing Street. Yep. Okay, so he was in that one. Oh, I have never watched it, but I heard some decent things about that Street Fighter.
Never watched it either, but just Googling this, like just some still images of it. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it was so there was a live action for folks who didn't know. There were there were two of them. There was Street Fighter Resurrection and Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. Assassin's Fist is the one I was thinking of at first, and that was the first one from back in 2014.
Wow.
And then Resurrection in 2016, which I did not know was happening. He plays Ryu in both, but I definitely have seen like clips of Assassin's Fist. So I probably have seen him as Ryu at that, and I didn't put two and two together. But that's cool. So I'm going to have to go watch those. But anyway, back to what we're talking about now. Avengers Endgame runtime reportedly revealed by AMC. Buckle up, folks, and bring your diapers, because if it's correct, this movie is going to be 3 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah, anyone who has experienced a little bit of incontinence needs to plan ahead.
I mean that is a serious thing, and
yeah, exactly. Roddykat is making jokes about diapers, and that's what popped into my mind.
I've seen that particular thing as far as it's like, yeah, like people were saying, like I've seen things like when this article came out, it was like, hey, black churches have prepared me for this, which is true because Lord knows the churches stay in a long time in the black churches. And also the fact that people were talking about, was like, some people were like, how are you going to sit for a movie that long? And people were like, diapers, of course, duh. So So yeah, this is good. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to my cousin about this because I'll talk about this rumor, and he was like, "That's kind of ridiculous." I'm like, "Well, it's possible because they've been getting longer and longer. Like, because Endgame was fairly long.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, not Endgame. Infinity War was fairly long.
Yes.
As a reminder, folks,
it started with Civil War.
Yes.
Civil War was the one that really took the 2.5 hour plus thing,
and no one cared behind it.
And then, I mean, some people, bitched and moaned about it, but then, exactly. But then the most of the solo movies that were released in the interim were still running 220.
Yes.
So 215, 210 even. So we're not talking about a huge difference in run times. And now we're talking about, if you don't normally get food for a movie, you may want to. You may also want to get a smaller drink just to, just kind of sip it to keep hydrated, but not so much that you have to pee. This will be one of those times when the line for the bathroom will be long before the movie and at the end of the movie, but not during the movie.
Unless they decide to do the rumored interlude or intermission.
Yeah, they still haven't confirmed anything on that, but that's definitely rumored.
So yeah, like I said, buckle in, folks. And yeah, it's funny because I usually go in with snacks in hand, and halfway through the movie or a quarter way through the movie it's gone because I love me some popcorn and slushies. But that's just me. I'm gonna have to bring in some more guns for this one.
Right, but at the very least, you may have to pace yourself just a little, just so that you have some energy to make it through 3 hours. But I'm sure this movie is going to be a roller coaster that's going to make it not feel like 3 hours.
Yeah, it should move.
Right. The only thing that's going to make you feel like it's 3 hours is your butt. So,
hey, luckily those seats are those reclining seats are fairly comfortable.
Right. That's if you can get a reclining seat theater.
Yeah, most of they're more prevalent now than they used to be.
Sure.
So, but yeah, if this rumor turns out to be true, and I feel like I don't have any reason for it not to be at this point. It's going to be a little movie regardless.
Right.
Next up.
Our next story, I think they revealed when the tickets go on sale.
I
want to say April 2nd.
According to this, this is a rumor site saying it's April 2nd. I saw a Fandango out there today on Twitter, and I don't think that has actually been announced.
I think they removed their tweet about the runtime as well. Or AMC did.
Oh, okay.
Because I retweeted it and it's gone, and the tweet itself isn't there anymore.
Huh. Weird. Because I just saw a tweet not an hour or two ago from Fandango about basically they got this like crossword puzzle type or find a word type puzzle type thing, and it was like, hey, the first name you find is your sidekick in Avengers in War. And then, of course, people in the comments are like, "Can we get some tickets?" or can you put tickets on sale? So yeah, I'm not sure if they actually have done that yet. And this again is a rumor. So we'll see if that bears out. So we're only a month out.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Well, we're less than a month out now.
Yeah, basically.
As of the time of this recording.
Mm-hmm. So next up, speaking of Endgame, Avengers Endgame posters officially reveal who's alive and who's dead, and I'm slightly salty.
Okay.
Because there is, of course, and we'll get to the memes that's followed suit after this, but of course you pictures of the original Avengers and with the words "Avenge the Fallen." And of course, the A in Fallen is starts being snapped again, starts disappearing. So you got face shots of everybody. You got, as some people are calling him, Mohawk Eye because haircut, which I thought. So you got all of them. Including Captain Marvel, Nebula, of Okoye, Rhodey, Rocket, which that looks like face rig more than Rocket. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Of course, Ant-Man. Valkyrie, we found out that Valkyrie's still around, so it looks like she may be coming into the movie, which there you go. Wong, because he was chilling at the Sanctum. So he wasn't going out there. And he didn't get snapped. Pepper, apparently Happy still,
Happy made it.
Happy made it. But then we start getting into, and if you're watching the video, you can see me scrolling through this. And of course, we start seeing, who got snapped, including T'Challa, Star-Lord, which he needed it. Damn him. Doctor Strange, Spidey, that people still get choked up on that one. Scarlet Witch, Fury, Groot. It goes on, it goes on. Wasp, Sam, Bucky. But we also get apparently some more what we found out. So apparently if you're watching the video, you'll see they have a poster for Loki, who didn't get snapped, but got killed off in the beginning of spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it by now, Infinity War. And apparently there's an article going around that's saying that this might be a troll, but I mean technically he did get killed by Thanos, so it still checks out. But at the same time, it also brings up the fact that, we've seen Loki die like 3 or 4 different times, so there's no certain if he's actually dead or not.
Exactly.
So, we'll see how that pans out. And let's see, Nebula, she died by Thanos.
Gamora.
Yeah, Gamora, excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know what I said. It's Vision. And one we did not know about, apparently.
One that had been teased.
Yes.
Because we had seen the picture in the trailers.
Well, and that, like I told someone on Twitter, the trailer doesn't really mean that much because there's a lot in the trailer that doesn't necessarily bear out in the movie.
Right, but it was teased.
But yeah, so I'm not counting that, and I'm still salty about this. So again, and if you don't know what we're talking about, Shuri apparently got snapped off screen. So I'm like, really?
5 will get to 10. It's going to be it's going to come to the forefront at the beginning of Endgame because they're going to have to deal with whoever's in charge of Wakanda.
Sure.
Given that T'Challa's not there and now Shuri's not there, so who's next in line for the throne?
Well, Ramonda's still around, so
right. That's the point. Like who would take charge of Wakanda in there?
But how the hell? No, so let's get back to this. How the hell are you gonna snap the second smartest person in the universe? And man, look, I mean, I'm glad Okoye made. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say this editorial is the solely the view of
yes. No one has nothing to do with anybody else on the panel but me. But anyway, I'm not even gonna go in front of this. Like, how the hell? That's all I'm gonna say. And we're gonna move on.
See, I don't feel as strongly about it because while we know that the Russos have already come out, I don't know if you have a story about this or not later on, but the Russos have already come out and said, yeah, we're trying to mess with your minds when we cut these trailers because we're not trying to we're not trying to spoil things and we're going to throw you a bunch of curveballs to swing in with that.
We've had an article like that before,
right? So ultimately, while you have to take everything you see in the trailer with a grain of salt,
which is why I didn't take everything,
Right, but one of those things that I didn't was showing Shuri's face on. People had screen grabbed that. And I was like, oh, you know what? She probably did get snapped because everyone else they're showing on those screens got snapped. So,
which still goes back to my original thing about it. It was like, how the hell? I mean, and yes,
there's a lot of people that got snapped off screen.
So. Well, yeah, like basically, and what we said we even talked about Infinity War. So basically, they just brought it back to the core Avengers group, and like they probably snapped up all of it Wakanda, knowing those bastards. Anyway,
well, we saw what I was going to say is we saw the aftermath of the snapping on the battlefield because how many Jabari actually got snapped around M'Baku when he's standing there like looking around like what is going on, and there's like people disappearing left and right around him. So it's not terribly surprising to see the number of Wakandans getting halved right then and there.
Probably wouldn't have. They probably hold that one. But anyway, that's my interpretation. We won't go in there. We're just gonna move on before I get upset.
Oh boy! All right, next up, the Endgame meme pays tribute to other fallen characters. So
this is hilarious. I sent one to you. The one I sent to you.
Yes. So this was the internet
just
doing what it does,
a flat out ball with
responding so quickly.
Yeah,
with all of the characters that should be avenged, the fallen characters that should be avenged.
Oh, I didn't see this one. From
Ned Stark,
yes,
to Han Solo from the Fast and the Furious,
yes,
to
Ouija from the Mario series,
to Bambi.
It was Bambi's mom, I think.
Bambi's mom, I presume.
Yeah,
a number of characters. So
yeah, it went straight up stupid. It was funny.
Well, ultimately, it's something that the internet is great at. Oh no, is that
Vine?
Vine? Oh my goodness, that's just wrong.
Oh, that's terrible, but it was so good. Wait, what is this one? Oh,
well, we don't know what happened to the Flurkin, so
yeah, we don't know if Goose got snapped.
Yeah,
we hadn't seen him since whatever. And then, of course, Ed Norton and
Terrence Howard.
Oh man!
Avenge me, Maine.
Darcy.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! That's awful.
A farm. Oh, I didn't see this one. So they got a picture of Thanos' head and says "Relax on a farm," which that's. Anyway, like I said, it was a lot done.
Yeah, that's the internet coming through, and that actually has provided a lot of laughs over the last few days. So that's just great work on the meme makers around the internet.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, and I think that meme is actually still probably flourishing. So I'm sure there will be more out there.
I love it. It's like if you Google Avenge the Fallen, you come up with like the templates that you can put the pictures in, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, there's been some really good ones on that wasn't even in this article. So that's just funny. Anyway, next up.
There's also one of Simba and Mufasa. That one's gotta hit hard for fans of the Lion King.
I'm like, oh, but why'd you do it? I know, right? That was kind of messed up. Oh boy.
Gosh. Okay, moving on.
Oh no,
you got next.
Yeah, there's gonna be another Mortal Kombat movie. Oh geez. Anyway, Captain Marvel soars past another major box office milestone. I believe it is now pushing 910 million. It's pushing its way to 1 billion. I know somebody who I think has seen it 3 times.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
I've seen it the one, and you could definitely count on my Blu-ray purchase. So
same here. Yeah. Speaking of Blu-ray, one just came out this week. I don't think we have any news about it, but we'll get there. I'll bring it up anyway. So yeah, it's putting in the dough. So good stuff.
Yep. Next up.
It also says it has surpassed Wonder Woman earlier this week, and also Batman v Toops, and some other. And wait, it hadn't. Okay, yeah, go ahead and mention now. Aquaman just came out this week on Blu-ray.
Okay.
And it did not pass it because I think Aquaman. In fact, I'm seeing that Aquaman did hit 1 billion mark.
Yes.
So it's still got a little ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, And if we didn't say it last week, and I think we did, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, also out on Blu-ray.
Yes. Kevin Smith returns the Captain Marvel love in the Jay and Silent Bob movie reboot. So I saw this article, and it's pretty cool. They actually have one of the characters, Jason Lee's Brody in the movie, pick up a copy of one of the more recent one of the more recent Carol Danvers Captain Marvel #1s.
Yeah, and I'll just go ahead and say in my stupid snarky way that this probably wouldn't have happened if Kevin Smith wasn't being referenced in Captain Marvel. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, he's more likely to put DC stuff in his movies, so.
And there are some, I mean, and surely there are some probably in there in another shot. But yes, that wall you can see with that picture, if that even makes the final cut, it's got a lot of Marvel and some other stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, there will be some Kevin Smith written Green Arrow stuff, I'm sure, in there somewhere, if not other DC stuff. But yeah, like I said, I don't think that would have happened if Captain Marvel didn't reference him.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, there's going to be another Jay and Silent Bob movie also. That's crazy. Anywho, that's the thing. It's still a nice gesture, even though, a little whatever. Next up, Angelina Jolie in talks to make Marvel debut with the Eternals, which is
Hold on. What happened to my sounds? They got minimized. No, they got shifted. No, they got shifted over. I gotta love my my dual monitor setup. My soundboard went flying. So here we go.
I'm actually slightly surprised that you went with that sound effect, but yes.
Right, because I don't mind Angelina Jolie, to be honest. I actually like her as an actress, and I think that I'm glad. I'm glad that she's being considered for a role in this movie. And I'll let you do the story, and then I'll get into where I thought she should have been cast. But go on.
Well, I mean, there's not really much else to say. That one, she's in talks for the Eternals, which is still a good thing, and that she's already in the Disney family, folks. Because if you did not know, she played, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you do. She played in the movie. She was the starring role in the Maleficent movie.
Sure,
I think there's another one that's apparently coming out. So she's already in the fam. This is just a sidestep, but nevertheless.
But this is now we're talking about Marvel. Right. And we're talking about superheroes specifically, and immediately you start thinking about casting and where she fits.
She's already played Lara Croft, so
right. I've read that they're looking at Cersei, which is great, which is a great casting choice.
That would be awesome, and also kind of again, she's played Maleficent. So
right, that's right. Listen, that is right up her alley.
Yep.
That's remarkably. On the dot casting when it comes to how Cersei has been portrayed as, the eternal Cersei, not the Circe from Greek mythology, but the Sersi from
Game of Thrones.
Right. So that particular Cersei. What's that?
Tell Icarus I did this.
Right. So bottom line, that's pretty on point casting. We still don't know what this Eternals movie is going to do. I personally would have been happy if she had been cast as Medusa, if they had actually done an Inhumans movie. I thought she would have been done a phenomenal job being the mouthpiece, the speaking voice of Black Bolt.
The suit would fit nicely.
Yeah, so I'm mildly disappointed that they couldn't make Inhumans as a feature film. That's still really that I'm still really irked by that. But I think maybe they were ahead of their time when they were doing Inhumans, and it's a shame that they're not going to try to reboot it and instead go with Eternals.
I mean, they could. I mean, after Eternals comes out and be like, "Hey, let's take another stab at this." But
I hope so. But now they, but then, like I said, they'd have to cast someone else as Medusa. So
right. Or it could go to route as Chris Evans, which that's a slightly different situation.
Okay.
Which, who has played, two different Marvel characters. Anyway, actually, that was a story I was going to get to in clickbait, but I had to remember to do that before we go to the other news. So let's push this along and go to the next story. The animators behind Into the Spider-Verse got together to create their own fantastic audio commentary. Speaking of Into the Spider-Verse, because apparently they weren't given a chance to do it on the DVD, on the Blu-ray. So this was released this past Friday at the time of this recording, and it's out there on the internet somewhere. And there's basically the animators, a group of animators talking about the process and kind of stuff. I hadn't listened to it yet, but I will definitely check that out because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some interesting insights in there. So next.
So apparently, now that Disney officially owns 21st Century Fox, some of the X-Men movies that were set to be close to release are now in limbo. So, so much so that now Arya Stark, aka Maisie Williams, doesn't know when the blankety blank New Mutants is coming out either. So apparently she's been asked when Josh Boone's horror-centric film is going to drop. The first trailer dropped way back in October of 2017, and it's been pushed again with last announced release date of August 2nd, 2019. But now, according to Arya, even that's uncertain.
Yes. So we'll see if that movie sees the light of day or not.
Right, because apparently, from what I read, I think in a separate article, there's still reshoots that needed to be done.
Exactly, and which still hasn't happened yet.
Right.
I think we talked about that at some point. But even from then, it still hasn't happened. So yeah, go figure. Next up, Disney Channel actress cast as Ravager on Disney Universe series Titans. So we talked about Jericho. Now we got Rose. The family's here, and I think they had already cast Deathstroke. Chelsea T. Zhang has been cast as Rose Wilson, aka Ravager. So I'm sure there's going to be a Deathstroke centered. This is clearly a Deathstroke centered season.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember the Titans, the classic Titans thing.
Well, I was about to say in the comics, Deathstroke was front and center as issue number 2.
Right.
So,
but no, I was just thinking event wise. But yeah.
Right. Just as a quick aside, I actually did. I think I mentioned this on the show. I actually sat down and watched Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Good.
It's on HBO.
Yes.
And I sat down and watched it, and I got a kick out of it. It was amusing.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of it, but from what I've seen of it, it's pretty amusing.
Right, and it just makes me pine for the days when the Teen Titans cartoon was actually a little bit more adult oriented before they went to Go.
Oh, stop it! I mean that's a lot of people's beef, though. Which it's definitely not that. It's a totally different thing. So it is what it is. It has a place. Next up.
All right, so Legends of Tomorrow's mid-season trailer gives us one hell of a good look at the adventures ahead. So, let me just list off
things.
What's that?
Speaking of silly things.
Well, let me just list off some of the things you see in this. Mexican wrestlers, a Bollywood dance sequence, an RV road trip to Disney World, with an unconscious President Nixon in the back seat. Okay.
Yeah. Now, Legends has always been a little goofy. That's what I love about it. I need to catch up. And I don't know if you're watching the video, you will see the GIF of folks from the show playing other DC characters, such as which actually wait, is that Supergirl actually down there? Yeah, it is. So yeah, Supergirl, Arrow, and the Flash are being played by people that are not them. So who knows where that's going? But it is what it is. That show's fun. Next, oops, what is going on there? Batman Returns star Michelle Pfeiffer breaks out her Catwoman whip. So apparently, Michelle Pfeiffer was going through some things, and she found the whip that she apparently kept after Batman Returns. Meow.
What I was gonna say is that I wonder if she kept the costume too.
I know, right? I thought about that.
The costume's kind of iconic.
Yeah. For better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So she took to her Instagram and showed it off, and I don't know if she with a video. I don't know if she said anything about it or the costume. I'm pretty sure people have asked in the comments because she got a lot of comments underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a thing that happened. Next.
Oh, I gotta get this story. So Zack Snyder, who we used to feel bad for because he did have a tragedy happen in his family life, does kind of uses up a lot of the goodwill. One because apparently he responded to the fact that the Batman that is portrayed in his films whacks people, as in kills them. Zack Snyder says, "Wake the blankety blank up." He shared his thoughts on some of the negative responses to his DCEU films during a Watchmen's Director's Cut Q&A broadcast on his
Vero, which he's probably one of the only few people that is actually still using Vero.
And then shared on Reddit.
Yes.
So yeah, he's and
as some people have said on my Twitter timeline, Zack Snyder fans are the worst, and that's kind of been showing up to be true.
Because what bothers me the most about this is that these are characters that aren't, not all comic book characters are the same, and they're not all the Frank Miller version, which is I think what he's all fixated on. He's fixated on this era of comics, this grim and gritty era of comics that was like that started with Dark Knight Returns and was kind of bookended by 300. He is just in love with that era of people getting whacked and lots of blood and gore, being interspersed with superhero stories. And even then, Batman wasn't killing people. So it's kind of remarkable for me to read this coming out of this fool's mouth, because it's like he doesn't understand that what he's portraying isn't necessarily an Elseworld story. It's supposed to be the main Batman.
And the bigger issue is not real. He's a fictitious character. Who cares?
Well,
people take it very seriously, but come on, really?
Right, because like I said, ultimately it's all in the portrayal of the character. And if you disagree with the portrayal of the character, you can voice your opinions on such,
and they do. And guess what? You can also get the rebuttals from them also, just in kind.
Right.
But yeah, so that's been a thing, and it's also been memed because there's been from even like Colbert kind of mocked, mocked his little rant on this show, and people on the internet have been taken to it in the ways that people listen to it do. And also there apparently is I didn't put in an article in the lineup because who cares, but apparently there is a Snyder cut of Justice League, and it's like 3 and somewhat hours long. Who cares? We got what we got. Or at least that's what some people are saying on the internet. I don't know. Next up,
I was about to say, until he comes out and says that he has it in his hands and he's controlling when it's going to be released, it doesn't exist.
Right. Or if it should at this point, because like it's okay, whatever. It's not going to make it any different or that much different, I don't think. Who knows? Anyway, Umbrella Academy Easter eggs even fans of the comics miss. So Umbrella Academy show came out on Netflix, and I haven't watched it. Have you?
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the comic anyway, so these Easter eggs wouldn't do me any good. But regardless, apparently there are plenty in the first season, or in this season, which has been 10 episodes.
Cool.
Yeah. Next up.
Speaking of Easter eggs, every Star Trek Discovery Easter egg and hidden reference you might have missed listed in this handy dandy article.
Yes, because Easter egg articles are the thing next to lists, which I will take Easter egg articles over lists any day.
Well, it is a list article, but okay.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I know what you mean.
I mean, strictly,
I know what you mean.
Yes. So, and since I'm not caught up on Discovery, we're going to move past that real quick and to go to Bitterroot comic. Legendary acquires Jazz Age Tale of Monster Hunters in Harlem, which means, yes, folks, Bitterroot, that dope comic by David F. Walker, Sanford Green, and Chuck Brown, hometown folks, the latter part, has been picked up by Legendary Pictures, and it's going to be made into a film, animated or live action. It doesn't quite say, but you know that this is still happening.
Congratulations.
Yeah, indeed. So, and shout out to, speaking of Sanford Green, but shout out to Sanford Green, who has an art showing next week here at the Columbia Museum of Art. And I think it's going to be going for a few days after that, actually, or for a week or two. I might try to go to a day. I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but so there's going to be showcasing a lot of his art there, and that's going to be pretty cool. So I'm hoping to go check that out. But yeah, definitely, it's a cool thing for Bitterroot, because that the book is actually pretty good. So,
you know what's funny? Someone did a meme of Avengers: The Fallen with the Teen Titans, the older Teen Titans group, and like the expanded characters. That's online too.
Sure.
Pretty funny.
Before we go into the comic book news, I'm just going to share a couple things from clickbait sections real quick. C2E2 happened, by the way, so there's going to be some news coming out of that, including an interview with Jason Aaron about War of the Realms and Conan, so that's in clickbait. Amy Hennig, if you are versed in video games, you know that name, is discussing her canceled Star Wars game, which was 1313, that got shelved by EA. And there's an article talking about that. Robert Workman, really? Okay. Anyway, and the one I wanted to get to, speaking of superhero movies. Oh no, that's so stupid. Is Scott Pilgrim versus the World the greatest ensemble of comic book actors ever? Now, if you've seen Scott Pilgrim, it is a great movie and you should see it. Directed by Edgar Wright. There were a few definitely comic book based folks. They're stretched with a couple of them, but nevertheless, it still works out. The notables are, as you can see in this picture, Brandon Routh, who played one of the evil exes. Chris Evans was in it as one of the other evil exes. Apparently, according to this article, Michael Cera has he voiced Robin in the Lego Movie. Again, it's kind of a stretch, but never is a thing. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Ramona, is in Birds of Prey, the movie that's coming out whenever that comes out. Didn't know that. And again, I talked about Chris Evans and Brandon Routh. This one's also kind of stretched, but nevertheless, we'd also take it. Well, Mae Whitman, she's done a lot of voice work. You know, you might know her from Young Lois Lane. Superman animated series, Wonder Girl on Young Justice, Batgirl on Batman Brave and Bold, DC Superheroes. Or I don't know, a little cartoon called Avatar: The Last Airbender, where she played Katara, which they didn't mention.
Okay.
So, but yeah, she was also in this movie. But yeah, that was, I thought, I only brought that up because you should check out Scott Pilgrim because it's a great movie. And apparently, the Blue Marvel was on the cover of somebody's album, which may or may not have come out. I don't know. And there's a story about that. Regardless, let's get to the news.
Alrighty.
Oh,
So,
I thought you had a thing for that.
Hold on. I'm still scrolling past the clickbait.
And there was some solicits that still came out.
I was about to say, like, clickbait is going on for a while.
No, it's not that much.
No, I'm scrolling down. I'm like, it's longer than usual.
Yeah.
So we're going to transition into
D2E2. Meanwhile, at the Hall of News, first 2 issues of Shazam return with second printings. So congrats to Shazam, which the issue 4 or 5 just came out this week.
4.
Yeah. So yeah, it's they're getting second printings. Good on them. Next up, Tom King teases Catwoman and a huge event in an essential comic, Batman number 75. So we've talked about Tom King's 100+ issue planned arc. Planned storyline on Batman. So apparently something's going to be revealed or settled or dealt with when it comes to the relationship between Batman and Catwoman in number 75. How far away are we from 75 at this point? I'm not sure what number we're up to. I don't even know. We're like 67, 68, something like that.
So we're not too far away. We're talking about before the end of this year.
Sure.
Because if I'm not mistaken, it's still bi-weekly, so it's coming out at a pretty good pace.
Which will still outpace the next article.
Oh, no. No.
Doomsday Clock number 10 pushed back 5 weeks. So our notion that it might not make this thing will not make the end
completed,
of the
right?
Maybe may have some foundation.
Right. We've joked, I definitely have joked, much to PCN_Dirt's chagrin, that Doomsday Clock won't finish within the calendar year 2019. Who knows? It might be something that comes out on the last Wednesday in December.
Yes.
Like number 12 will drop the last Wednesday in December and they'll just get it out under the gun.
Kind of record. Because this thing came out last year. Or it started coming out, 2 years ago, innit? Or last year?
No idea. I lost track of it, and once I dropped it, that's the thing. Yeah,
basically.
Like, once I dropped it, it wasn't not until the most recent issue, number 9, where PCN_Dirt said, hey, you can read this now. It's safe to read. You don't need to have read anything before.
Right.
That you can jump on. And I read it, and I was like, okay, now I'm caught up. So, excuse me. So, it's funny that once we get to an issue that is safe for everyone to read, we're not going to see the next one until, for another month.
So according to this, yes, it started November 2017.
Wow.
And should have ended in December of last year.
Wow. Listen, I remember going to the New York Comic-Con panel when they announced it. When they previewed it. They had already announced it, but they previewed it, and they previewed some art at a panel. So it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while. Move right along though. This is unlike Doomsday Clock.
Right.
Sony battles DC Comics over 0 hour TM, which seems a bit late. Because 0 hour was an event from years ago.
1994, according to your notes.
So apparently, yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what. So in December 2017, weirdly enough, Sony filed a trademark application for the title. The patent office rejected the application in September last year as the examiner found it was likely to cause confusion with DC's mark. And I'm not sure how, but that's trademark law for you folks. So now Sony has taken the fight to the board, of course, and claiming that DC has not shown sufficient use of the mark in the print, which is probably true, because when was the last time it even brought up 0 Hour in a significant fashion?
Well, in the wake of the multiple crises, that's probably the only time that it gets brought up ever.
Sure.
But maybe in the abstract, I don't even think they name it. So Sony may have a case.
So, okay, apparently, the cancellation filed on March 21st comes after the technology company published the Firewall 0 Hour video game for its PlayStation console last year. I don't even know this game. I've never heard of this game.
Got me.
And again, 0 Hour, the comic event. I don't see how that's, well, anyway, just, yeah. It is what it is, and patent law is stupid. I mean, it has to be done. I recognize that, but it gets.
Well, I was going to say some of the things it protects against, are controversial to say the least. So
yes.
Alrighty. Next up, there's a new launch trailer revealed for War of the Realms. So apparently, a trailer video was released that shows that no corner of the Marvel Universe will be untouched.
And that seems apparent if you've seen the solicits for next month.
Yep.
Because holy cow. And speaking of that, along with that, Marvel's War of the Realm #1 debuts script at C2E2, which I said just happened this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to War of the Realms at hand, there is also, along with a trailer,
there's a theme song.
There is a theme song
by Mindless Self-Indulgence's Jimmy Urine.
Nope.
Is it really?
It is.
I was giving Jimmy some credit.
Yeah, no, because I would listen to. So this came out on This Weekend Marvel podcast recently, and they said they pronounced it urine.
Okay.
So yeah. But anyway, so yeah, and you can listen to that if you want to on that podcast or the video that's attached to this thing.
Here you go.
Doesn't sound that bad. I guess they basically was like, hey, we needed a theme song, and it's something to come up with. Next up, Marvel Comics announces Absolute Carnage event, because Lord knows can't go a year without a symbiote event.
Well, it's been a while since we had a Carnage-centric event.
Yeah, but we had Venom ones. That's
true. Maximum Carnage.
Exactly.
A long time ago, man.
Yeah. Including a video game. Marvel, which I think came way after the fact, but regardless, Marvel announced this at C2E2 again, and the press release came online later on. It looks like this is going to be from Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman with colorist Frank Martin. And I think it's going to... the lead up to the event will start in Spider-Man Venom #1. Wait, that already happened. March 5th. And the event will start in August.
There you go.
Yeah. Next up, writer Jonathan Hickman, as we talked about last week, is going to launch 2 new X-Men titles starting in July, following the end of the current Age of X-Men story, as announced during the Next Big Thing panel at C2E2. So that's pretty cool. We talked about it last week, where this is what I was anticipating, that this was going to be the launch coming out of Age of X-Men. So, it seems like that was just a natural fit to bring in a new voice on X-Men. And that's it's interesting that he's going to be rocking 2 titles, but knowing Hickman and the way he can really produce, scripts for comics, that's not unheard of for him. Well, again, yeah, because it goes back to the last event he did for Marvel, which he had 2 Avengers books under his belt.
Exactly.
So, it works out, and the
He just can't fit in all of his ideas into one book.
Yeah. So, will we see a Secret Wars / Infinity for the X folks? I started to say X Clan. But so the two books are House of X and Powers of X. So Pepe Larraz will draw House of X, and RB Silva will draw Powers of X. Marty Gracia will color both. And expect more Hickman mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo!
I don't know. I might actually read it. Who knows?
What I was going to add is just if you're looking for a place to jump on, if just for 1 or 2 issues, this is the time. You don't need to burden yourself with trying to catch up on Age of X-Men and all the tie-ins that are coming out right now. I don't read them.
Yeah, although I do want to read that Nightcrawler one. But I haven't, because I flipped through a couple of pages of that one. There's interesting. So that's the thing. Look forward to that in June or July. Next up, so along with that, in C2E2, we already know about War of the Realms. We already know about what Hickman's doing. We already know about Absolute Carnage. Apparently, there's going to be another event because they did say they were going to stop doing events, and I know line-wide events but they're still doing mini events every other second. There's going to be another event type thing in December. Sounds like, and I don't think we know what that is. But this was the live blog from coverage of C2E2 from the next big thing. Panel. Look forward to another event. Maybe. No, this might not be it. So I'll just go ahead and put this next one in. Because apparently there is going to be another event. Taking off of one that just ended. Marvel Comics announces Secret Warps event. Jeez Louise.
But what I love about this is where they're actually taking place, and you're about to tell us.
Exactly, and it's going to take place in a bunch of annuals.
That's where they should be.
Yeah,
that's like old school.
Like it used to be, exactly. So it's going to be 6 annuals, and it will focus on a different Infinity Warps character because annuals apparently you can have one after one issue and or an event now. Apparently the rules have changed. But yeah, annuals used to be where the big events, if you're of a certain vintage, and read comics for a while, that's where the events used to take place every year. Nice self-contained, although sometimes they ran, line-wide or group-wide, depending on the event. So this is that. And this is going to start in July, so this still has nothing to do with it, whatever's going to go in December, which we still don't think we have any news on yet.
Okay.
Next up,
you want to talk about this since you reviewed?
We can kind of go past this. We talked about so Riri and her mom get real in Ironheart #4. It's basically Riri and her mom have a nice little heart-to-heart about some things during the course of the issue. It was good. That could have been a potential flick of the week.
Okay.
Yeah, we can move on.
All right. Next up, Valkyrie is getting her own series in the wake of Marvel's War of the Realms. It's going to be co-written by Jason Aaron and Al Ewing, which is a good, that's actually a sign of a good pedigree, and it's going to give her a spotlight coming out of this.
Yeah, I think both have written her before. Now, to keep in mind that this is OG Valkyrie, not the one from the movie, the MCU version,
right?
Who was in Exiles,
right?
Who actually has last been seen in as Guardians of the Galaxy, which I guess also makes sense since that book's still kind of around.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say both of them were written. I'm not even sure because I have to see who wrote Fearless Defenders. I don't think that was him, actually. It wasn't Al Ewing. Anyway, doesn't matter. She's getting her own book. Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up.
Marvels gets new story. Busiek Ross this is a weirdly worded title. Marvel gets new story. Busiek Ross story for 25th anniversary. That is how the title went. I did not know that. So Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross will create a new Marvels one-shot as a part of the 25th anniversary of Marvels, which I guess also explains why the Marvels annotated are coming out.
Well, yeah, it's the anniversary, so that's why the annotated versions are coming out. That's pretty cool that they're putting out something new.
I've never read Marvels. Have you?
I have my copy of the trade paperback signed by both Busiek and Alex Ross. I love that story. It's great. I picked up Marvel's Eye of the Camera as well afterwards as the follow-up, but that wasn't painted by Alex Ross. But this is some great stuff. What were you saying? What'd you say?
No, you just I like you said painted, but
yeah. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm not looking forward to rebuying the annotated version.
Right.
I think I might hold off until the trade comes out because
wait till they bundle that.
Because I'd be happy to get it all reissued with the new content. So
I was gonna say, speaking of bundling, but that's that's stories after the next one, and so I think this is you.
Right. So Mark Waid is writing the history of the Marvel Universe. So Mark Waid and artists Javier Rodriguez and Alvaro Lopez are going back to the beginning for the history of the Marvel Universe. I wonder if this is going to be like Marvel Saga.
I don't know. I'm also kind of wondering because you have stuff like Life Story, which came out last week or this week for Spidey, and I think they're doing some for other characters. Yeah. They're doing that for some other characters. So I wonder if this is in line with that also. Or this is basically a straight, just seems like it's just a straight history, like you said, Marvel Saga style.
Right.
So neat. And we could have had something like that for DC, but they scrapped it. Actually, they didn't. It was a thing that just didn't work out.
Oh, okay.
So 6-issue miniseries by Mark Waid and Javier Rodriguez. It is going to happen sometime because we don't have a date. So look out for that. Next up. So I am quite leery of getting stuff from this site, but I put this in here just in case it is actually a thing because I have not seen it shown anywhere else. But official handbook of the Marvel Universe gets an omnibus. I almost sent it to you just prior to this, by the way, and more for 2019. So I do know for a fact that this was not in the solicits, and this seems like this is coming out. Anyway, to get to the actual story, so yeah, they are going to make an omnibus for the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, and I feel like we were just talking about this fairly recently.
Right, we were talking about this recently, so I wonder if that lends more credence to the story. I have the essential copies, which are black and white. I'm presuming just a quick read of the notes on this article is that it's the official 1983 handbook, which had 15 issues, and it's likely going to be in color. It might be recolored the way some of the other omnibi are recolored, like the Simonson Thor omnibus, for example. So that would be pretty cool to see, especially in hardcover.
Yes,
but
yeah.
The only thing I was going to add is that there's other, official Marvel handbooks like updates and stuff. But I guess that's the main volume that people, think of when they think of the official Marvel handbook.
Right. It's curious that they went with this one, but I mean, granted, it's classic, in its own way, so it makes sense. But like you said, there are other more updated ones. Curious, and it says here. So I think I know classic. Shout out to Classic Material was kind of excited about this one. It doesn't say they're doing Book of the Dead, which I think came in the later issues, right? Later, it didn't come in the original 15. Did it? I don't remember.
I think it did because I think I think it was like 1 through 13, and then 14 and 15 was like Book of the Dead and Weapons.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I mean, I could, after the show, I can always check that out, and we can get back to you guys on this.
Yeah, but regardless,
we have a few stories to take a look at.
Yeah, but regardless, that is the thing that looks like it's coming out in November.
It's still a while away. You'll get more details on it, and we'll have more details for you.
Right, and apparently there's also going to be there's a couple other ones coming along with this. There's a Ditko is Amazing King Size that collects Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Spider-Man's 3, and a bunch of other Spider-Man stuff from Ditko. Ditko. Okay. So that's another thing that's coming out in December, and of course, and another omnibus is Iron Man: The Mask and the Iron Man omnibus. Which collects Iron Man from 1993, 1 to 2, 26 to 49, and annual. That is also coming out the same day in December, according to Bleeding Cool. So we'll see if all this comes to pass. Like I said, I hadn't seen any of this anywhere else.
Oh, apparently they're going to do. Did you mention that they're going to do a Gimli X-Men too?
I don't think that it was it in here. Gimli was mentioned for certain, but
that would be some pretty cool stuff to look at.
But I don't see any here outside of they mentioning it outside of but yeah, it doesn't mention that one, so that might have been somewhere else. But yeah, cool beans. Next up.
Wow.
Me.
So, no, I'm just kind of gawking at the idea of some of these collected. It's kind of cool that the omnibus, the full color omnibus, omnibuy. I mean, they're pulling out some of the really cool things that we all have in our collections, pre-colored. Hopefully, these are not cheap. These are like usually $100 a pop at least. So
yep. And I guess we'll have to determine, because you already have your version, because I don't have that. I know I have my original. I think I still have my original copies of the handbook, and
I don't have mine. Mine are not complete. That's the thing. So,
yeah,
I have the black and white omnibus to help make up for that. So,
right,
it'd be nice to get it in color.
Yeah, and that's which brings me to what I was about to say, was that I'm not sure. I'm curious. I will definitely be taking a look at this when the time comes, and we'll have to see whether that's going to be the value we think it is, or the updated ones are probably still.
This is one of those things where you look at the Amazon price and be like,
Well, and what's in it, and see if it works out for you.
Right.
Anyway,
I think you're up now, right?
Yeah. New artist recruited for West Coast Avengers finale. So, in a weird turn, I guess, the last issue of West Coast Avengers number 10 is going to have another artist, because the regular artist is doing one of the mini series from War of the Realms.
Okay.
So that's why they won't be on the book, but But yeah, it's a nice issue. So there you go.
I'll tell you something funny though.
What's that?
We've been doing this podcast for a while, and we're now 300 plus episodes in, and we're really starting to see a new wave of artist names.
Yes,
being mentioned on all these projects.
And
there's a serious new wave of artist names that we don't recognize off the bat, and they're being introduced to us as we speak, as we podcast. And every time we talk about these books that are being solicited, I'm looking at it like, wow, what happened to, not that we're asking what happened to so and such, but it's interesting that we're getting a lot of new names on the art front, especially within the last year.
Right. And we've gotten some on the writer side, but the writers have been noteworthy for writing other places.
Right.
Notably novels and such, as Marvel is wanting to do. But we definitely have gotten some artists becoming writers in a couple of cases.
Sure.
With some things. So yeah, we've definitely seen some changes since we've been doing this. And actually, speaking of one such writer,
yeah, Tinny Howard
Mm-hmm.
signed a Marvel exclusive contract. So this was announced at the Women of Marvel panel at Chicago C2E2. And she's writing the current Age of Conan Belit, Queen of the Black Coast limited series, and the Thanos 6-issue miniseries that begins in April. And she made her debut with September 2018's Captain America Annual #1.
Yeah. So congrats to her. I had seen something to where apparently she was supposed to go speak at a school and got denied somehow. So that's kind of sad recently. But apparently they're supposed to be trying to work that out or something. I don't know, but that was a weird thing. But yeah, like I said, congrats to her. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man newspaper comic facing major changes. So last week we talked about the Joe Sinnott's retiring,
Right.
Which also affected the comic strip, which he was still doing. And apparently the daily syndicated newspaper comic strip is going to end in its current form, and doesn't seem like they have any plans to, or at least there aren't any said plans to start it back up. It looks like they're going to it looks like it has actually. The last new strip was last week, and they're going to start basically redoing strips, old strips, for the time being.
Sure, because they still have the license they have to fulfill with the newspapers.
Mm-hmm. Which and the syndication licenses and things, and that's not the first time for a comic strip in a newspaper. Won't be the last. I would really like to see a collection of I don't know if there's going to be one for all X amount of years, but I would like to see a collection of, and I feel like there is one, or might have one, of the collector strips in a book form.
Yeah, it's worth a search after the show.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you guys on that.
Yep.
Next up, President Bartlett.
What's next?
So there's new details on Disney's interactive Spider-Man attraction, and Spider-Man suit has been revealed. I think we talked about this. Up their Marvel attractions at Disneyland, Disney World, and other parks around the globe, and we got a sneak peek at the Spidey suit that's being introduced at those parks.
And no surprise, it looks like the one from current Spider movies.
Sure.
So yeah, that's the thing. It's your Disney parks coming soon. Marvel's Iron Man VR coming to PlayStation VR in 2019. So this came out during PlayStation's State of Play. Some would call it a direct. If you are versed in the current goings on in video games, but they basically had they put out a video showcasing new stuff that's coming out, just knocking through titles upon titles like Nintendo does. And this was the first one that came out, because I saw it. I was like, huh, what is this? At first I thought it was the announced Avengers game that still hasn't really, we haven't heard much about, but no, it's a VR game featuring Iron Man, which makes sense because sure, if you're going to have something that's going to lend itself to VR, Spidey being the other one, which has been done already,
right?
Iron Man.
Makes sense.
Yep, and that's it's basically in 2019, so it's coming out. The trailer has some footage of it. You can go check that out at your leisure. Next,
speaking of games, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid release dates confirmed for all platforms. So apparently, it's going to be released.
So it's already out on platforms. It came out Tuesday on Xbox and Switch, if I'm not mistaken, and it will come out on, for some sort of reason, it's being pushed on PS4 and it won't be out until April. So this is basically the Power Rangers fighting game that's based off of the recent comic book event. And I actually have it, but I have to check back and let you know how it is. It seems from the trailer like it's all right. It's only $20 with a $40 collector's edition, but it is what it is. And you only start off with like 8 or so characters, as it says here. it's a 3-on-3 tag battle game, so in almost like Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Whether this ends up in Evo next year, we don't know. But regardless, it is a thing. It looks pretty decent, and I'll try it out and let folks know about it. Moving right along. Well, the only other thing I'll say about it is, like, you know what, in a game like this, I mean, granted it's $20, so that's not, and you only get a certain amount of characters. Like, you're not going to get the whole range of 20 plus years of Power Rangers. But there will be some DLC, and of course there is, like I said, the collection edition will give you a couple of other things. So I'm sure they have DLC plans for this joint. And apparently the site that I got this from is a fairly serious. I do this for the fact is a fairly serious fighting game website, so they must be taking it kind of serious.
Okay,
moving right along.
You got this one.
Jim Zub and Max Dunbar head into creator-owned orbit with Stone Star, which just came out this week on Comixology Originals, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Okay.
So you can check that out. Jim Zub's got another creator-owned joint. Yes, digital available to read now for members of Prime Reading, Kindle Unlimited, and Comixology Unlimited. Also available for sale on Comixology and Kindle for $2.99. Stone Star is a mobile asteroid where entertainment abounds and competition and celebrity are intertwined. Gladiators fight to find their fortune, but there are other secrets lurking beneath the surface as a new season begins. So it's kind of a sci-fi bent to it. If that's something you're interested in, just go check it out.
Alrighty, next up, Dynamite announces the next entry in Brandon Sanderson's sci-fi fantasy graphic novel saga White Sand Volume 3 is going to release in June.
All right, cool. Next up, Tim Seeley resurrects a new Crow for hack/crossover. So, yay.
Okay.
Yeah. This new Crow is Anthony Cero, who was brought back from the dead to exact revenge on who. So it's weirdly kind of sounds like Ravager's Ghost Rider.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the character, not the character, but the person that they're getting. Anyway, regardless, it is another thing. Next.
And last but not least this week, Joseph Illidge and Lisa Y. Wu have joined the independent publisher A Wave Blue World, try not to sing that, as editorial director and vice president of sales and marketing, respectively. We recognize Joseph Illidge from his previous positions very recently at Valiant and at
Lion Forge.
And Lion Forge, that's what thanks for the backup. And at Lion Forge, and now they're joining A Wave Blue World.
Yeah. Hey, Joseph Illidge always making moves. And I believe Lisa Wu was also at either Valiant or Lions Forge previously. I feel like I've seen that name before. So, hey, congratulations to both of them. Next, actually, there is one more story that I didn't put in the lineup, but I do have, and it is a video game one, and this will be quick. Marvel Battle Lines unleashes Ultron storyline and new PvE horde mode. So Marvel Battle Lines is a game. It's basically a card-based Marvel game that has been out for a little bit now, and they just introduced a new horde mode in the game. You can go check that out right now. Yeah, that's that.
All righty. So we're going to start wrapping up the show with our last ad read of the night. It's for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.com/comic CSPN.us/wink. That's CSPN.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today.
Ha. And as we close out this here show, we will let you know if we will be on movie protocol next week, because we still don't exactly know that.
Yeah, it's not one of the mandatory ones.
Yeah, I'm kind of debating it, but I really haven't. And obviously, if I had thought about it, I could have seen it a couple of weeks ago when
exactly same, because we were all in on that particular ticket offer, as opposed to some people I saw on Twitter who were like, "When was this? How did we do this?"
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, how did you not see that? But
yeah, exactly.
I was like, well, maybe you should listen to the show. No, I'm just kidding. I almost said that and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, so like I said, stay tuned to our various Twitter channels, and we will let you know whether we do that or we'll have a regular show. And with that, you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter, at News Nerds Need on Twitter, at CB Caps on Twitter. Excuse me, at CB Caps on Instagram, not Twitter.
There you go.
You can also find the News Nerds Need Reddit out there, for your perusal. Good stuff out there. 8470 on Instagram and Twitter. PC_Dirt on Twitter. Pop Culture Net on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com. I Need Comics and his various other comic books, or sites under the Pop Culture Network umbrella. All there. Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. CB Cron on Twitter. The Click Nation on Twitter. That's the KLIQNATION. Also theclicknation.com. You can find stuff there. We need to actually start putting some stuff up there. I think I want to try to start putting these shows back up there, but we'll have to talk to Tim about that. And also Comic Book Resources, where he's over there writing his face off. That's cbr.com. Go check him out there. You can find this podcast on CSPN.us, the podcast of places. Hey, we got stuff for you. Because the podcast got it. Go over there and say, hey, we love Comic Book Chronicles. We love them. We like your other stuff too, but we love Comic Book Chronicles.
Exactly. And be prepared for those of you who follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I've been a little bit remiss in not posting my clicks of the week. So get prepared. There's going to be an avalanche of them within the next day or two.
Yeah, we're trying
3 weeks worth.
Yeah, we're trying to get back on promoting ourselves a little bit better than, I was gonna say something really nasty, but I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, we're trying to promote ourselves a little bit more than we have in the past year, because we used to do a little bit more heavy than that. Regardless, that's in there. You can subscribe to this podcast on Google Play and Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, and of course Spotify and the Coastal of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. Go check us out there and all these other various places. We love you. You know that. And with that, folks, thank you for checking us out. We will see you next week.
At some point.
With another episode of Comic Book Chronicles. Peace, and we're out.
Peace. One.
Good evening, Rick. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?